Ladies, gentlemen, folks beyond the binary, grab your husband, wife, partner, mistress, the scuzziest looking dude you can find at a pool hall at 8 a.m., and gather around your radio. It's time for this week's meeting of the Erotic Thriller Club.
Not rude or crude, he's always tastefully nude. In this hardcore world, he's a softcore dude. His antithesis, mysterious and dangerous. And oh yes, they've got all the sexiest movies out on VHS. So if you're fatally attracted to the racier stuff, Erotic Film Club. Basically, instinctively crave the salacious. Erotic Film Club. If you want a racy movie and you're too classy for smut, Erotic Film Club. We can watch them and discuss them all ad nauseam. Erotic Film Club.
It's 1996, and you're a 16-year-old girl living in Seattle. You cut first period to go to a pool hall that is insanely crowded for that time of day. Your friend inexplicably runs off with a real grossy of a man, while you catch the attention of a regular handsome pedophile. Is he a little creepy? Yeah, but he loves you and would be more than happy to take that virginity off your hands. Will he ruin the lives of your friends and family? Maybe. But look at those abs! Let's get ready to talk some real tossed salad and scrambled eggs. This week on the Erotic Thriller Club, fear. Hey everybody, welcome to the Erotic Thriller Club. Garrett Callender and Kit Ryan here.
Hello, hello. This is the show where we try to answer the genre's three most important questions. Was I aroused? Was I thrilled? And would I ruin my life for this person? And we have a very, very special guest here today.
Yes, you've heard her on the hit podcast Keep It Weird in the Loser Club. She's a published author, and she's a Fear super fan. Welcome to the show, Ashley Casseday.
Hi guys. Okay, I have to say, love the new show. Love
Thank
it here.
you.
The opening song is fantastic, and it always, every time I hear it, it reminds me of 102.1 The Alien. Did
I
you
don't-
ever listen to that station in Illinois?
I don't think we got that one.
Okay. 102.1 The Alien was like this like Christian rock emo punk channel that I'm pretty sure was run out of like some weird farm in southern Illinois.
Oh, then you know that means it's a cult, right? Like,
The cult. Actually, we should do an episode on it and keep it weird. I'll have to look into this.
Cass, I gotta know, first of all, Cass, why did you pick Fear for us today? I simply must know.
Well, besides it being one of the best movies from the 90s, the fashion is on point.
Oh my god.
The music is repetitive.
They do play that
They play this-
Wild Horses
They play
cover
the
a
same Bush
lot.
song 3 times. And I would love to know the reason behind that. Like if the budget ran out. I know like Bush was just getting big. No, but this was one of the movies growing up. I had a ton of VHSs, but they were all like bootleg VHSs recorded off of HBO by my dad, and
Yeah.
Fear was one of them. And that it got watched over and over and over again.
So really we have Mr. Casseday to thank for this.
Yes, you do, Mr. Ron Cassidy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ron.
Did you watch any other erotic thrillers growing up?
Totally.
What's the first one you can remember seeing?
You know what? It actually might be this one. Because I
That
don't
would
think
make
I saw.
sense.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think of like some really good like that stick in my mind when I think of erotic thrillers. You guys already covered one, obviously, in what's the one? Boiling the Bunny.
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. Love Fatal Attraction, but I didn't see that till I was older. That's definitely not a movie that children would like enjoy in any way, shape, or form.
What? Kids love boiling rabbits.
I mean, I did love horror movies growing up, but I think erotic thrillers, unless you have a young, hot cast like this one,
Mm.
you're not really into it as a kid. I can't think of any other, like,
Like
Taking Lives, but that was so much later.
Cruel Intentions was definitely
Oh,
a formative one for a
yes.
lot of people.
Absolutely. And I don't think anyone dies in oh, spoiler
Yeah,
alert, someone definitely dies in Cruel
definitely dies.
Intentions. It's like a whole point of the movie. Just kidding.
Well,
Yeah, that was a huge one.
outside of erotic thrillers, what is your Marky Mark intake like? What is your Mark Wahlberg experience? How do you feel about the man?
The man, the myth, the legend, Mark
The
Wahlberg.
the
The
criminal,
potentially
the
yeah, let's
burger joint
murderer. Let's just start this episode by saying we know who Mark Wahlberg is,
mhm,
and we do not support everything he believes now or once believed.
mhm.
And let's just judge him off of this movie alone.
There is so much to judge.
Because there's so much to judge. Garrett, I know you're very much so into his Instagram right now.
Absolutely. That's gonna
Yeah.
be really hard for me to which I do support. He's got a tequila company, and
I didn't know
every
he was a
Sunday
tequila baron now.
Yes.
yeah, every Sunday you gotta tune into his Instagram so that he can kiss a cross and tell you to stay prayed up every day. And,
Oh
he
my
goes and
God.
I'm guessing he probably films about a half dozen of them outside of a church and then uses them through the coming
Gotta.
weeks.
He's
But
gotta.
his Instagram
That is a
is,
cynical take, Garrett. That is so cynical. You don't know. Maybe he really is outside that church every
Every
you think
single
he's with
Sunday.
Sunday.
Mario Lopez every Sunday? That's a lot of Mario
Yes.
to take in.
Yeah, he has found God for the first time or again. I don't really know much about his life, but I know that I'm judging him harshly because recently he said that if there was anything he could take back in his career, he would not be in Boogie Nights. And I was like, oh, okay, your best role you've ever done
What are
in your
you
life?
talking about,
That's the one
my
you'd erase?
dude?
I would have done more Transformers.
More
It's gonna be
Uh,
impossible for me to not say one sentence throughout this entire, uh, review of this movie, which is, "You're very perceptive." That actually sounded more Woody Allen than it did,
It did.
Mark Wahlberg, but I can't get enough of that man's voice. I mean, we don't know his full backstory, but that is definitely a dude from Boston living in Seattle.
yeah. They even make sure that he talks about his family back east, and I'm like, oh, we know where back east.
We
And you could
know,
say
Mark.
that he bounced around all these foster homes, yeah, but they were all within the same like
They were all in
couple
Massachusetts.
square miles.
Yeah, this movie
Yeah.
to me starts pretty erotic right up top, and it isn't because you're watching a teen lightly wash her breasts in the shower. It's because you're watching Zaddy William Peterson run through the woods in those short shorts. That guy, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the end. 10 out of 10. I would ruin my life for Zaddy.
Spoiler alert. Yeah, but he goes jogging through the woods.
Mr. CSI himself.
So I saw this movie for the first time last year at some point. This was actually
That's
the most
so
requested movie.
crazy to me.
I've never seen it before just watching it for this. I am a total fear noob.
I am so happy for the both of you. You don't even know right now.
I'm pretty
And
happy for me too.
as I was trying to figure out the dad's job, for some reason, like I
Oh,
didn't
that's a
realize it
tough
was
one.
Mr.
Oh my God.
CSI. I didn't realize he was actually Mr. CSI. So as I'm watching, he walks in those glasses. I'm like, oh, he's a CSI. He's an officer, and maybe
He's a
an architect.
detective.
He's an
Yeah, he's
architect, I'm pretty sure. But here's the thing that is so wild to me. Like I wrote down all of the security features of this place. They have the gate. They have the private security guard who is at the gate. They have cameras which he can watch from his desk at all times, and a door code, and reinforced doors and windows, and
Yep.
a German shepherd, and they live in the middle of nowhere. Like, who are these people hiding from? Are
We
we
need
100%?
prequel.
Right. I need to know what has made this family need this much protection in the first place before Marky Mark even showed up.
We need a total prequel. We need to follow this family to their prison in Seattle that they live in. And we also need to follow Mark. What's his name in the movie? It doesn't matter. Marky Mark,
David.
David from foster home to foster home. Or maybe we don't. That's probably really tragic. I have seen this movie. I don't know if I mentioned it a whole bunch of times. I just rewatched it in the last couple of years. Watching it again last night, I still forgot what he did for work. Like I still got to the end of the movie and I was like, wait, why do they have reinforced windows? Like it's like
And
I
they're like, you
blacked
designed it
out.
this way. Why did he design it this
He
way?
talks about his job throughout the entire film,
It's
and
so
I so
important.
don't care. Like I'm so not involved in his job at all that on my millionth time watching last night, I was like, oh, that's why their house is reinforced. And it's
Like,
like,
what
where
job
was
could be
I?
so important that it took him away from seeing James Taylor on the beach with his family? I mean, really, dude.
Truly.
The way they piece information out in this movie, as it's as if it doesn't matter. Where they're just like,
It
"Oh,
doesn't.
by the way, this is judging Amy isn't a real mom." So
Casper's mom, not her mom.
Not her
Okay.
mom.
is judging Amy Casper's mom too?
Yeah, you guys don't remember it's Casper's mom, or not Casper's mom. I'm sorry, Kat's mom. In the movie Casper, and she comes down in like a beam of light, and she grants Casper a wish.
Right.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember.
Could have used her in this one.
yeah. We really could have. We could have
Not if
used her
she's
beam of
gonna
light.
not if she's gonna grant Marky Mark's wish.
This okay, so I mentioned it twice in our many openings on this show. Um, the most bizarre shit. She gets picked up from school by her friends. They skip first period. What is this place they go
I
to?
had the same question. It's also a cafe. There's definitely like cafe
There's cafe vibes.
equipment. No, the equipment is there. There's like a little, pastry under a little glass, container. But also they're playing loud music. It is packed to
It is
the
the afternoon.
walls. It's like 10 a.m. for
Yeah,
all we
they're
know.
skipping first period. Like this is the beginning of school. It's at least
Oh,
it's
that's
like
true.
9ish. Like they serve scones, beer, and as far as I can tell, this is where every service industry person in all of Seattle goes to hang out after they get off the graveyard shift. I
That
don't
must
know.
be it because I don't know why anyone else would be there, right? Like it's too early for anyone who isn't. Yeah, this is where people party
You guys,
when
this
they
was
get off work.
Seattle in the 90s, okay? The birthplace of grunge. Things
True.
were happening there that we can't even fathom.
Yeah, Kurt Cobain was definitely at a pool hall cafe at 8 a.m. skipping
On a
English
Thursday.
lit on a Thursday.
No, Ashley, you may have answered a question I had throughout this whole movie, which is why does Alyssa Milano want to fuck Steve Buscemi from Airheads?
Dude,
But it's because it's the
I
90s
was
and it's grunge.
he's
calling
the
this-
epitome of hot.
Oh my god, I was calling him like Cousin Pete the whole time. Like he just gives off such like dirty cousin vibes. That guy was disgusting.
Yeah, they could have given Alyssa like a little bit hotter of a dude to pursue. Like she's so hot in this
She's
movie. It's insane.
gorgeous.
And I
she
know
looks
she's like 16.
She looks so 90s though. She has the most perfect 90s look with the barrettes and the crop top. Like she looks so good.
I actually
My
think
suspension
this
of disbelief only goes so far.
And her
and her
fucking cousin
fucking
Pete
this
is not
creepy
happening.
meth dealer. I think this movie does a really good job. I mean, it was made in 1996, so I'm like, it does a really good job at like portraying the 90s. It was in the 90s, but I'm talking like that specific like Northwest grunge. It was so fun to watch now as an adult. It was different to watch now as an adult because I will say when I watched it as a kid, it was a sexy thriller in a different way. And
For
now
sure.
as an adult, it's a sexy thriller in a way more terrifying way. It's so much scarier when you're watching it from the parents' POV.
Oh, sure.
Kind of like the movie Big.
Just like the movie Big.
Exactly like the movie Big.
Yeah,
I
this movie's really upsetting, to be honest, Ashley. Like, of all the
Yeah.
movies that we've watched for this so far, watching things happen to children hurts. It
Yeah.
hurts me, and it's gross. It's icky.
It's
Um,
real icky.
and
Especially because it
like
is never clear how old Mark Wahlberg is supposed to be. Like, it's very clear that
20.
that yeah,
23.
23.
23?
They don't make that clear, and so Reese Witherspoon is explicitly said to be 16, and then you're like, and then her very cool boyfriend shows up to pick her up at school, just like we all. That's one of those things, Cass, that hits so differently when you're an adult. I'm like, it is not sexy to have your unemployed, not going to school 20 something boyfriend pick you up at school at 3 p.m.
Seriously.
It's
Well, and
so
I
lame.
dated older guys in high school, and like I totally understand why young girls do date older guys, and it's because we mature at different levels. So like we are automatically more mature than the boys our age, and we're automatically more attracted to boys a little bit older than us. Like I get the psychology. I understand why I did it when I was 16, when I was 15, 16, 17, but now as like a 35-year-old, if I heard a 19-year-old was dating a 15-year-old, I would be like, call the police. What's happening?
Right. And that's the thing is it's so easy to be like, yeah, from the girl's perspective, like you said, like they've matured, and it's like, yeah, but that means there is something deeply wrong with that 20-year-old man who wants to date a child. Like
Well, what about
that
this
is the
like
problem.
what about this 30 to 55-year-old man that is like caught Alyssa Milano's eye?
Seriously, that guy
He
was
could
not
be
23. There's no
Absolutely
fucking
not.
way.
he wasn't cool. He's a
No.
fucking loser. Like
Yes.
she honestly, she could do so much better and it
She
like
could do, of
it
course
breaks
she
my
can.
brain.
And maybe if her fucking mom was around for 5 goddamn minutes.
You know what? That's probably it. Because this movie had a lot of feelings about like '90s divorced families and your parents and whatnot. So like, yes, she would not have turned into a literal crack whore if mom had been around more.
I
Well,
do think that all the relationships with the parents in this movie were really interesting, in that I hadn't seen that in a lot of other movies at the time, where it
Mhm.
was like they had the stepmom and her half brother, I guess. But like,
Stepbrother,
yeah,
half brother. I don't
stepbrother, half
know.
Toby.
brother. Oh yeah, it
Toby.
is
It is
stepbrother because
stepbrother.
he calls him dad to get what he
Yeah.
wants.
Hmm.
And he plays him like a fiddle. Yeah, so that dynamic was something I feel like we hadn't seen a lot of in movies and TV yet. And then also, yeah, Alyssa Milano's mom, like very clearly leaving her teenage daughter for weekends at a time to go stay with some guy in, I don't remember, San Francisco or whatever. I appreciated it. I appreciated it. That wasn't just like cookie cutter
Yeah,
family.
like I ended up keeping like a big list right here of good dad versus bad dad of
Yes, that's such a good
all of
idea.
the dad's decisions, because like when he stood up for his daughter after his wife called her a slut, like he actually
Good
called her out,
dad.
and I'm like, good dad. And then he does things like turns like and goes ape shit when he finds a used condom wrapper, and I'm like, bad dad.
Bad dad.
You got to put yourself in this Zaddys shoes.
He did
Uh
say no one was allowed in the house while they were gone.
there were rules in
Struggle
place.
There
rule.
were rules, but
And
also,
Maybe don't
he,
yell at your daughter when she's already crying.
yes, exactly. And also, I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves, but like she's already thinking of breaking up with the guy you don't approve of her dating. And that's when you choose is the moment for you to say, you shouldn't date him.
Yeah.
What do you think she's
She was
gonna
on her way
do?
there,
She
Dad.
was on her way there, and then you saying, don't date him, I hate him, is just gonna make her go and go straight to his arms, straight
That
to
is
that
why this
Marky Mark
movie
pecs.
is so much scarier as an adult.
Yeah.
mm, Well, okay, but as Marky Mark is a kid here, or a 23-year-old man,
Mhm.
um, is he hot? Is this an
Yes.
attractive? Is he like this is? I mean, this is
Yeah,
underwear model Marky Mark,
unfortunately.
so like it's
I
kind
feel
of
like when you first see him shooting pool and he's got like the most cover of a semisonic album, like 90s boy look with the tight black shirt and the hair and the serious
The
look on
shirt
his
fits him
face.
so well.
So good. Like you get it. You're like, okay, all right, yes, yes. But then there are other points in the movie where it doesn't work as well. But like,
Is that just because he's not the best actor?
is it because he's not the best actor? Is it because he has a hilarious accent? There's any number of
Yeah,
things.
that's true. But to answer your question, absolutely, he's very hot. He's extremely hot. And I like that he can be hot for teenagers. I thought he was hot when I was a teen,
Mhm.
as does Reese Witherspoon and Alyssa Milano in this movie. But then as an adult, like her stepmom is even very
Like,
obviously like,
damn.
hello. And I even remember like when I would have like my friends come over, there were two guys that were like super jacked. They weren't older as in out of high school, but they were like seniors when I was like a sophomore, and they would come out and swim with like our group of friends. And I remember like as I grew up, like never at that time, but like years later, my mom was like, that boy was something else. And it was
Something
like,
else.
you're right, he was.
Ooh,
She was like,
ha.
I would have never fucking said that, but holy shit, like the
Holy
body
shit.
on that boy. So it's nice to have, I think he was a really great casting choice because I can absolutely see the stepmom being like, Jesus Christ.
Right.
oh, I
Yeah.
mean,
Woo!
is he's like winning over the family and at the house,
Absolutely, so
like
charming.
wrestling the mom in the pool. You could tell like
Oh my
this is
god.
like yes, you have a hot husband, but like here's a younger model or a
Uh-huh.
newer model. It's
Yeah, yeah,
And look
yeah.
at those arms. My
Look at
God.
the arms, the abs. He's
The
got it
neck,
all.
the
Mhm.
face, the
put it this
eyes.
way. I think it's easier for me to understand because this is basically Fatal Attraction with teenagers or
Yeah,
young people.
swap
Uh,
gender.
100%. I see Mark Wahlberg over Michael Douglas. Like I get it. I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
Absolutely.
Dad has to skip out on the James Taylor concert, which is absolutely criminal.
Yeah,
And
they get
also,
a flyer at the bar cafe for what? What is this that they go to?
it's like a warehouse rave.
It's where
Okay.
the final boss battle happens at the end of any action movie.
They went to John Wick 4, the set of John Wick 4.
Yes, exactly.
For
No,
this
one of those
party.
90s warehouse raves where it's clearly illegal, but and like put together by teenagers, but they also have a professional lighting rig.
Yeah.
My favorite line was Gary, the best friend that is maybe into Reese Witherspoon.
Or maybe
Who
gay, it was not
Possibly
clear.
gay.
gay in other versions of the script I found out. Like he was written as
Oh,
gay and like gradually they took
gradually
out
they were
any
like, we don't
plot where
have time
he
for
was that.
this.
This is a
Exactly.
subplot we cannot include.
We cannot include this.
All we know
Lost
about
time.
Gary, other than maybe he's into Reese Witherspoon, maybe probably gay though, is that he's a film nerd because every shirt he's wearing is something with a movie on. He's got like a
He also
Hitchcock shirt
makes
on at one
some
point. And like,
extremely timely references to things that were happening in like he references like a kid that got caned in Singapore that was big news in the 90s, and then he also
yeah,
references the junk food defense, which was from the Harvey Milk case. So
yeah.
like guy's up to date on his references. He
What a fucking dork that's never gonna
Yeah,
fuck
fucking
Reese
nerd.
Witherspoon. But
never gonna fuck
my
Reese
favorite thing
Witherspoon.
he says when they get the flyer to this dock party, he's like, "You're going down to the dock. You better bring your Uzi."
It sounds like something my dad would say about me living in Chicago.
Yeah, absolutely.
But really, it's just the set of Steve Buscemi from Airheads gets one punch or a headbutt thrown, and all fucking
This
pandemonium
place
breaks
turned.
loose at this
Pandemonium.
This
bar.
movie is so prescient. It saw Woodstock '99 3 years early because this place turns into Woodstock 99 so fast. People are knocking shit over, lighting things on fire, all because 2 people got into a very small fight.
Yeah.
And
A
again,
helicopter shows up to
oh yeah,
to film the carnage.
girls, get you a man who knows how to escape a warehouse riot because Marky Mark helps get Reese out of this dangerous situation. And that's what every girl's looking for when she's 16.
Yeah.
They go hang out on top, and that's where we get my favorite line of the movie is they flirt on top of this warehouse. You're very perceptive.
That's your favorite line?
Well, she is very perceptive. And here's the thing. It's a really sweet scene. Like,
It
I know when you
is.
know what's coming next, you can see the manipulation, you can see like
Yes.
what's happening. But if you don't know what's coming next, if you're Reese Witherspoon, hubba hubba, I just fell in love.
This exotic Boston
Boston
accent.
accent.
It does the
But she
cute
even
little
says to
thing
him,
with her
like,
watch where he's
yeah,
like, we got all
he
the time in the
sets the
world,
time
and he
back.
moves the clock back, and you're like, that's so sweet. I would have fallen for that so hard when
So
I was
hard.
16.
Then he comes over and he's nice to your brother. He's helping your stepmom with the plants. He's like, he basically looks at you as he says to the mom, you gotta keep the roots moist, and then like gives a wink.
Winks.
Knows so much about plants.
Yeah, well, he spent his summers in a nursery.
I'm pretty sure that that's actually code for he
Fucking
had to
babies.
that he had to plant a bunch of trees as part of like a prison rehabilitation program.
Oh
'Cause
shit! I
that
didn't
guy
think
has
of that.
never had a job.
I thought maybe growing weed. He
No,
seems
that's
like the
even
kind of guy that
that's
would grow
too
marijuana.
ambitious. That's too ambitious for
That's
him.
true. If you've seen his bedroom in this movie, he sleeps on a cot in
He
the
sleeps on a
barracks
cot,
of
and he has his own
house.
mugshot taped to the wall, and I'm like, who fucking
Okay,
does that?
if we're gonna get to this point in the movie, like, because basically the first like 30 to 40 minutes is like kind of sweet, all like
Kinda sweet.
borderline sweet.
Well, we can't skip the
The
entire
coaster.
first half.
You gotta get to the
No,
coaster.
I want to
Okay.
talk about his bedroom.
Oh,
Like, I know this one's gonna be kind of all over the place, but you already mentioned it, and I can't go another like 30 minutes with this just in my head. I have to get it out now. Once Daddy figures out that things are bad and he goes and smashes up David's
the
house,
crack house.
when he kicks open the door, David's room, I wish there was ever a scene where we could see his 3 friends see his room. His 3 friends, by the way, or 4 friends named Logan, Terry, Knobby, and Hacker.
Okay.
Such cool 90s names.
Those are his roommates. Those are his roomies.
Roommates,
So-
it was not clear their living situation. They said something about like, oh, if this guy's dad gets back, we're all out on our asses.
They're
And
like
living
squatting, essentially.
in like a
Squatting.
suburban house, which they have like done graffiti all over, and the
Yeah, they
place
wrecked
is
it.
trashed. And
Okay. But when
you
still
find out
somehow
that-
he is on a cot.
But he's got his, Helga and Hey Arnold, like shrine to Arnold, but of Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the funniest thing that he has for a man who's so fucking psychotic is the little wedding cake topper. And I have been laughing about this for 4 days, guys. Like
That's the
I wi-
funniest thing. You know, the other stuff he had in that shrine was like her face on a saint picture. The daddy's girl bracelet rewritten to say David's girl.
Oh, yes,
her
of course.
panties. A photo of the family where he photoshopped his head in to replace the dad's. And a
Amazing.
Chucky doll. And you're telling me the thing you thought was weirdest was the wedding cake
Well,
topper?
where did he get it? Where did he get it?
definitely stole it from a grocery store or something.
Did not go to a
But-
wedding.
But was very sentimental when he held it, like, that's gonna be us someday. And like he calls
After I fuck your crack whore best friend, this gonna be us.
it, like, I don't know. There's just there's a point in the movie when he kind of calls the dad an F slur, which if it's a 90s movie, you've got to either do an R word or an F word, and they got it
Yeah,
out of the way
we
there.
got
But
one.
his friends would have hard F worded him if they saw that little wedding cake topper next to his
It was
pictures.
on the mantle. How could they not have seen it? Which makes you think, like, what did these guys think? Like, they're just regular idiot layabout punks, and they're living with this psychotic stalker layabout punk who has, as you said, like a Helga Pataki bubblegum
Shrine.
shrine. Like, did they find that weird, or are they all just too busy smoking crack and they're like, yeah, that's normal?
He seems like a guy who wouldn't let you in his room.
Mm,
It's private.
Very
private.
private man.
Very private man. Let's go.
Very
Speaking of
private.
privates, take me back to the fair.
Takes her to the
Okay.
fun fair.
The fucking fair. Let's go.
So this scene, which anybody, because this was the most requested movie. Like when I
Yeah.
started doing the erotic thriller thing, everybody was saying Fear was their favorite. Like this is a big one for people our age.
I can
love that.
definitely see why.
And other than the peephole scene, this is the iconic scene.
Totally.
And it's insane that just in 2023, Reese Witherspoon finally did an interview and brought it up, saying that like this was not in the script. The director came up with this on the spot.
No.
So she did not sign on for this, asked if she could have a stunt person, was told no,
Oh,
and
come on.
Yeah, it's
had to
not
do a
okay.
scene that was come up with on the day. Like this was not brought up until they were there. And she doesn't seem super bitter about it. She should. Just another one of those, like, I mean, when we did The Crush, Alicia Silverstone was 15 and they were trying to get her to do nudity.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
The ways
Well, and
in
when
which
you're
these
that
movies-
young too, you don't realize that you can say no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm
especially if
sure-
this is your first, you're young, you're new in the business, you don't feel like you like, oh no, what's gonna happen to my career? Am I gonna get a reputation for being difficult?
That's true. Yeah. Am I going to get Weinsteined? Like,
Oh
there's
my
so many
God.
things. Like, you have to walk such a delicate line to just be able to keep your role. Like, I just finished Julia Fox's book. And even, like, her situation with, like, Kanye, where they dated. And she even talks about it in the book. She was like, it wasn't really dating as much as it was like a business deal. Like, I had to sign an NDA. We never had sex. But she was saying, like, after I broke it off, because I was like, this kind of sucks and I'm not really getting anything out of this. I'm not happy. She was like, I lost a $1 million deal with like a denim company. I lost
Ooh.
role. And it was simply because they were like, we wanted to cast Kanye's girlfriend. You're not Kanye's girlfriend anymore. And it's like, you never know what weird decision you make as an actor or an actress or someone in Hollywood that's going to get you to make you lose that job. So, like, who knows what day of filming this was? Who knows what would have happened to her career had she decided on that day to be like, hey, I'm not comfortable doing this. Like, can I talk to my lawyer? It's like, oh, no, we'll actually just replace you.
And the thing is, though, you can't tell that the actor is uncomfortable because she plays it
She's
so
so good in this scene.
perfectly as she is getting, like, okay, where do you think this fingering, Garrett, ranks next to Nick Cage's in Zandali, where he was in fact an expert at fingering?
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is her first time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it look, this is a new world for her. She has a lot of emotion, very, very good facial expressions. Looks like it's great. Plus, it's
She
on a
doesn't
roller
even
coaster.
know she can come yet.
Yeah.
And then she's coming right as she goes up over the crest of the roller coaster.
Incredible.
She makes it look so much fun.
Yeah.
That being said,
Mm-hmm.
in Zandali,
Mm-hmm.
Nicolas Cage was more mobile. There wasn't a bar
Mm.
between them. He was able to get different movements with his arm, with his fingers. Like
It was a difficult position for sure.
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
I'm picturing how he's doing it. His hand, like his right hand is to the side. So it's a
Mhm.
lot of just like
That is sort of an awkward. can make it
N-
work.
Nick
He
Cage could have
did.
done it in Zandali. He did make it work, yeah.
He made it work real
And
good.
that's the thing is this whole scene is like this blissful ecstasy on her face, and then it keeps cutting to Marky Mark looking like an absolute creeper, and then cutting right back to her in this moment of pure joy. And it is really jarring, but it works.
I don't think that this movie would be as successful as it is in the end if we didn't have that scene, because
Mm,
that scene was the first scene. First of all, it's her getting pleasured, which we
yep.
don't get a lot of in a movie,
And before
and
he does, like he
long before he
long
does,
before he gets anything.
days. And I think it's really I think I don't know what I thought of it then. I probably didn't know what was happening then because I did not know what fingering was for a very long time. And I remember when my friend told me, and I was like, "Why would anyone ever
Turns out
do that?"
there's a
Can you
really
picture in
good
a
reason.
post-COVID world getting fingered on a roller coaster? Like touching the lap bar of
No,
a
the
roller
world has
coaster.
changed.
Stop it.
No one
No.
will ever experience this pure bliss again.
I don't know specific. I mean, there's a certain time in COVID where it's like that's probably how you get it. That's how you get it.
That's how you get COVID.
That's why we got to shut down every carnival in the tri-state area.
Spreading too much COVID on the coasters. I think it's a beautiful scene.
It
And
is.
And I think it really sells the fact that you understand, like, this is her first relationship and this is the first time anyone's made her feel like this. You really get
Mhm.
why she would really be swept away by
Yeah.
this.
And maybe ignore some red flags, which are soon approaching.
So quickly.
The first red flag we get in this movie, because there's a couple scenes of him at the house. Like I said, this movie goes on a long time with like mild cuteness
Yeah.
before it gets to she hugs her friend Gary, who probably gay, and then Gary gets his
Again.
fucking ass beat in front of
Truly.
It is
everybody at the school.
so intense. Like, this is not just like, oh, I punched him because he was hugging my girl. He kicks
No.
the shit out of poor
He
Gary.
hits him very hard in the skull. Gary goes right down to the ground, does not throw a single punch, and he gets kicked in the abdomen probably 7 times.
And then he backhands Reese Witherspoon when she tries to tell him to stop. And rightly so, after that, she's like, I don't want anything more to do with this dude fucking ever.
Yeah, fuck this guy. I can't believe he would do that to my friend, to me. How embarrassing.
I was very
We
concerned that when Laura, the stepmom, is
Mhm.
finds out that her stepdaughter has a black eye, and she's like, and then I gave her a little makeup tutorial on how to cover a black eye. Lady, why do you know how to cover up a black eye?
All
Like,
women do.
I thought for sure there was gonna be some dark backstory revealed where Laura had an abusive ex-husband, and that's why their house was so
Listen.
well fortified.
Oh.
And that's why they lived in the middle of nowhere, and that's why she knows how to cover a black eye and recognizes the symptoms of a girl being in a bad relationship.
Absolutely. I could see that, but we don't have time, Kit.
We don't have time for that
'Cause-
subplot, just like we don't have time for Gary to be gay.
as my
Gary's
hat
just
says,
sweet and
my hat
silent.
says make movies shorter, and the back says 97 minutes with credits, which this movie is.
Yay!
Not-
Truly. Get in, get out, okay?
You were bringing up the stepmom. The stepmom has questionable parenting to her stepchild a couple times. She
Calls her a
Calls her a
slut.
slut, which, you know what?
She said she looked like a slut, okay? It's different.
Oh, okay.
Then-
Well, in that case.
She looked like she wanted to get fingered on a roller coaster, is what Judging Amy
Mm.
thought. Oh, judging it, more like Judgy Amy. Um, But then yeah, she's like, let's cover up the black eye. So she like was redeeming herself in her mind for the previous thing.
Mm-hmm,
So like
mm-hmm.
both parents are kind of good parents in this movie.
But also kind of bad parents
I
sometimes.
think overall very good parents
I
with
had
a
more in
couple
the-
slip-ups.
I had more in the good column than in the bad column for the
Totally.
dad score.
But that's life. You know, he's got job. He's got to go to Vancouver for
He's
job.
got job.
He's got so much job. Listen, he didn't have to say, Laura, come with me to Vancouver. Let's leave our teenage daughter home alone.
Who has an older boyfriend that we're already worried about and has been breaking curfew and has a black eye. Yeah.
Yeah. He
Wait,
did
hold
not
on. I
have to
think
do
this is
that.
before
It was
they leave for Vancouver before she ends up getting a black eye, because we do have to say they
right, because they have
do
sex
have
before
sex.
yes,
She
while
loses her
mom and dad are
virginity.
out of town.
Mhm.
She gives him the door code. That idiot.
That idiot. Oh, I would. Ooh, my kid gave someone the door code.
Door code. And then she doesn't think until the guy is literally breaking into the house. Like, oh, I
Oh,
gave him
wait,
the
hold on, I
door
gave him the code.
code. Even though he's been creepy and stalking you and your family for weeks.
Listen,
before
she's
now.
under a lot of duress, and I'm not going to judge her, except
Okay.
I am, because it's my job. Okay, yes. So right before he beats the shit out of gay Gary, gay not gay Gary, they do have sex. We have our one singular sex scene. Yeah, because you don't see any other sex in this movie, right? It's the
I don't
fingering.
think so.
No,
sex
you
scene.
absolutely do.
Hmm.
Alyssa Milano in the middle of a party.
Yep.
Is that
Absolutely.
okay? She's fully clothed while she's on the
No,
weird
she is
dude.
not.
She
Yeah,
has
she
her
is, because when
underwear on.
Marky Mark picks her up to haul her ass into the other
She
room,
has on a thong.
she has on a
I think,
thong.
yeah, but I think
And
that
his
thong
pants
was
are
moved
pulled down a
over.
little bit. They are unzipped.
Oh, I
So
didn't
it is a
notice
slide to the
that.
side situation.
Yeah, she is.
Slide to the side
She is fully, because at first I was like, are they dry humping? And then I looked closer. She's having intercourse with that creepy man
while he smokes
While
crack.
he smokes crack.
while he smokes crack.
I
I'm never having a
am
daughter.
so sad. Like, thinking about that scene makes me so sad. Like, to me, it's so sad even before the rape. Like, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
like, it's so upsetting
To
that
see
that is this person, and like they're in front of so many people.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
It's,
it's so sad, and I feel like I don't know. I really related to the my best friend became a crack whore subplot, because that happened to me in real life.
Happened to all of us.
And yes, your crack whore best friend does things that hurt you, and it's hard to always be the person who's like, even though you fucked up, I know it's because you're in a bad place and you did things that hurt me, but it's not your fault, because you are not okay right now. You are not like capable of making good decisions right now. But I still
Which is, I'm
totally
sure, the conversation that they had in private, because this movie has some really, like, for being what it is, has some really, really serious themes that I do think that they take seriously. Like,
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're brushing it off. I think that Reese Witherspoon was cast purposefully
Mhm.
because she looks so young
and
and
so
so innocent.
naive. Yeah.
Yeah. So to see her go through this stuff is so much harder than if you saw, like, I'm trying to think who's hot right now. I don't know. Zendaya? No, Zendaya's really adorable.
She's got
and
that
cute.
sweet little face.
Yeah, you're right.
But isn't she one of
maybe
the
not.
I mean, she'd be a
But
hot
like a
person. I
more
haven't seen
mature
the
looking actor.
HBO
Yes.
sex show.
Yeah, Euphoria.
Yeah.
She has her own sexy thriller happening.
But yeah, as the like less sexually experienced friend who is like, I don't understand what choices you're making, and I really felt for Reese Witherspoon's character when she's like slams the door on her friend because like you slept with my boyfriend, even though that's not really what happened. She was kind of raped and she definitely wasn't capable of consent, but like
Not
you're
kind
16.
of.
Oh yeah,
Certainly.
no, I
No.
couldn't. We didn't see her do drugs, but you know what? She was
She
definitely.
was crying when she was being held by the back of the head and being
Yeah.
told to
So
say a thing.
definitely,
Yeah.
she was raped, and none of what happened was her fault. But Reese having her feelings hurt as a 16-year-old girl made so much
Totally.
sense to me. And then when she like opens the door back up because she's gonna go back out and like try to make things right, but she's already driven away. Like I don't know. It really resonated with me as like this feels so realistic.
I agree. I thought that their friendship was very realistic and also extremely sweet.
I was glad
I
she
believed
didn't
it.
die.
Same, because she could have been a really easy character to kill
I
off.
thought she was gonna die immediately thereafter in the car scene where
Yeah, where he's chasing
Marky
her.
Mark's trying to run her off the road.
You did kind of open me up to there are 3 potential stereotypes for the best friend.
Mm,
Fat best friend,
mm,
gay best friend,
mhm.
crack whore best friend.
Yeah.
And that is the version of Will and Grace I wanted to see.
We can't
That's a
always
different
get
show.
what we want.
The woke left won't give you that show.
No.
The
That's the future the
wokerati.
woke left wants.
But yeah, so Marky Mark starts like slowly escalating his try to win my girl
Red
back
flag.
campaign.
Red flag. Red
Breaks
flag.
into the school, follows her, breaks into her locker to leave a sweet apology note that she is smart enough girl to like throw that shit away,
Fuck this
not
guy.
go meet
He's
him,
a creep.
not accept his roses or whatever that he sent her.
And it is
That
the
he
90s.
stole off a
so
grave,
you
probably.
that he stole off a grave. And the cake topper that he stole from a reception. This guy's just raiding wedding halls. Like
Take
ballroom.
the
He's one of
floral
the-
arrangement, take the napkin rings.
He's actually a party down server in his spare time.
In a nursery. Okay, what was I gonna say? When he's escalating and he's I was gonna say it was the 90s, so because there was part of me that was like, who would let this grown man into this school? And I had to remind myself,
This is ye oldie times.
ye oldie times, anyone could walk into a school.
They didn't. Yes, this was. I
They
don't
do
even know
whatever
if
in there.
Columbine had happened yet. Like,
No,
they didn't know.
come on in,
shit.
come one, come all.
You look.
They're not gonna question.
young-ish.
Yeah,
I mean, little did they know fucking Columbine's this guy's middle name. Like if they had bothered to check his ID when he walked through.
do we think David's even his real name?
I do. He
yes.
seems-
I'm starting to question it.
David is
'Cause
very
Dad
sincere.
did the background check on him. That would have turned up if it was a fake name.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. I forget.
David doesn't seem like a liar all the way.
Really? David doesn't
He's-
seem
He's
like
a
liar.
He's honest about
gaslighter,
love.
manipulator, obsessive compulsive, psychopath.
Stalker.
But he's not a liar.
But not
These
a
are the
liar.
alternate lyrics to the Steve Miller Band song Joker.
Oh boy. But yeah, and then Dad's like more pissed about finding the condom wrapper than he is about the fact that his daughter got a black eye
hit.
from a guy. And I'm just like, I wanted to strangle that man in that moment. And like Laura, the stepmom's doing all the right things. She's like letting her come to the realization
me
on
handle
her
this.
own.
Yeah.
Like, she already recognizes he's a bad dude. She's making steps in the right direction. Let's not pressure her. Let's just be there for her as a shoulder to cry on. And then you come in here and go like,
You
gorilla.
fucked my daughter in my impenetrable fortress?
I wasn't aware he was a Bond villain.
Okay, but can I say my favorite line of the movie is not a spoken line, it is a written line.
Mm-hmm.
Because as David is escalating and as so after he beats up gay not gay Gary and then fucks Alyssa Milano, rapes Alyssa Milano,
Rapes Alyssa Milano.
grapes Alyssa Milano, she sees it, That's the final straw. That after the sex with Alyssa Milano, that's like absolutely not. You're not getting another chance.
The
Blah blah blah
weird
blah blah.
part is he was like, "You can come back to my house tonight," and I'm like, "You don't want to invite her back to your place. What are you
No.
talking about? She's gonna see the shrine, the cot, the mugshot of
True.
yourself."
She can't come to your house.
He invites
Your house
her.
is insane.
It's insane. And then she's like, "No," and then she shows up anyway, and that's when she sees through the window him raping Alyssa Milano, and you're like,
Yeah.
but like, even if that hadn't happened, I don't see how taking her home to meet the what are their names, like Hacker and Terry or whatever,
Knobby.
Knobby.
Nobby, Terry.
It's not gonna go well. It's not gonna impress her.
His name's Knobby? Is he smoking crack?
I think he might be.
I think he might be
You're very
smoking crack.
perceptive.
He's
This
very
girl
perceptive.
just, and I mean
So what's-
just lost her virginity, and you're gonna just go straight into like, here's my crackhead friends.
Ashley, what's the line? It's like,
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
well, here's the thing. I realize I'm jumping ahead, but since we talked about them having sex, we have to mention the fact that her dad has like a really, really, really nice car.
yes.
I don't know what kind of car it is because I'm not into cars, but I know it's a really nice
Mustang.
one. It's a Mustang. It's older, question mark, and it's expensive. And as things start to escalate, David does bash the shit out of his car. I mean, destroy his windshield. I think he like cuts up the top of the
This thing
convertible.
is so wrecked.
It's so wrecked, and he leaves a note on it that says, "Now I've popped both your cherries."
My favorite part of that note was that he puts an unnecessary apostrophe in cherries because you know this kid's basically illiterate, and that's fucking hilarious to me.
That's so funny. I did not even notice.
That's the
that there was an
first thing I
apostrophe in cherries.
clocked. I was like, oh god.
He didn't check the inside of that car, but you know he took a shit in there too.
He did shit in that car for sure.
There's
If
no
he
way.
didn't, his weird
Knobby did.
40-year-old roommate, yeah, Knobby did. That's
Knobby, could you
Knobby's
shit in a bag
specialty.
for me? Don't ask any questions.
Never do.
Never.
Never have. Never will.
There- Okay, there is another line I need to discuss with you too.
Absolutely.
So when she finally tells Alyssa Milano that she has lost her virginity, this is before
yeah.
Alyssa Milano's gone way down into the crack hole. Alyssa Milano says, "You always remember your first, not your second, not your third, just your first."
Mhm.
Is this accurate to your
No,
experiences?
but here's the thing. When I saw this movie long before, like I said, I didn't even know what fingering was. So I definitely hadn't had sex yet. But I remember her saying that and being like, wow. And like, I trusted Alyssa Milano
I trust her implicitly.
implicitly. I looked just like her. I had
I
the short
wish.
hair. I trusted her. She was on Charmed. I trusted her. So when she said that in this movie, I was like, yeah, okay. And I held on to that for a very long time.
Did you really?
And here's the thing, like, do I remember my first? Yeah, it sucked. But like, I don't remember my first any better than I remember the second or third. So
My
she lied.
first, I remember. Did you have a good song playing, either of you?
No,
Uh,
I
This was
wish.
good.
No, there was no song playing. We had in fact just finished watching No Country for Old Men, I believe. So maybe
It's a
the
really good movie.
whatever movie was playing, whatever song's playing at the credits, I'm pretty sure that was what happened.
Hot.
I know.
I had people screaming while they were being killed by zombies in 28 Days Later.
Oh.
The sweet, sultry sounds.
Of
Ah!
people being ripped to shreds.
Okay,
I actually
so,
do think that I saw the movie 28 Days Later in theaters with the guy I did lose my virginity to.
Hey, were you getting roller coaster-esque fingered in the back?
No,
of-
I
mm.
did, though. I did get fingered when I saw the others.
Ooh.
in theaters.
Was that,
Nicole Kidman.
what was that experience like? Because that
Um,
movie seems like it wouldn't lend itself naturally to that
I
experience.
honestly was a little disappointed simply because I was really into the movie and I was like, can you
Can you
stop?
please, can we just,
I'm kind of into this
I'd like to table this discussion
non-sexy
until
thriller.
after.
Could we have saved this for a different film?
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, I remember seeing. This isn't me. I was there. This was a real Knobby and Alyssa Milano situation. But Scary Movie 2. I remember a guy behind me, directly behind me. I'm a child when that movie came out. Is getting a
Yeah.
blowjob.
Really?
I'm with my friend's mom.
No.
We're sitting there, and I hear slurp slurp.
And you're like,
and
bet that guy
you
got
look
the
over your shoulder, you're
supersized
like, holy
slushy.
shit. Is like, what's his name's got the little arm, and yeah, that's a
Oh
weird
my
one.
god,
That's a weird experience.
I've never had that experience. I'm so delighted to know that.
I thought I was like really covering it up too. Like I was like, no one in this theater will ever know. I'm pretty sure
Pretty sure
it was
everyone
not.
knew.
I mean, it wasn't a packed theater. Like I wouldn't have done that. But if you were in there, you knew.
Pretty
So
sure it got fingered.
Because of the sound, or
no, just because like there's no way to hide. It's not like we had a blanket over us.
yeah, somebody sitting next
You
to
know
you
what I
is gonna
mean?
notice.
well, like
If
Mark,
anyone was within eyesight.
no one on the back row of the roller coaster didn't know. Like the guy
Shit, that's
behind Mark
true.
Wahlberg didn't
Different.
That's
know
true. You're right. You're
because
right.
of the
Hey,
sound of the
listen,
wind rushing and
maybe
the
I
head.
got away with it.
And her screams of ecstasy just melded into the background noise.
Yeah, the screams of the children and the others.
I cut off Kid after she said the words "I got fingered," and I know the audience are sad that they didn't get to hear the rest.
I was saying it was while seeing a play at SIU.
A play?
Yeah, listen, okay, so this was before I was actually enrolled at SIU, back when I was still going to Knox, but my parents lived in Carbondale, so I saw a play while I was in town, and I had a boyfriend that he lived in Carbondale and went to SIU, so like I didn't get to see him very often, and I was
Right.
very brand new to any sexual activity whatsoever. Like we had
When
not even,
else are you gonna get fingered?
there literally was no other time. So, we didn't. I mean, it was over the
What play?
clothes mostly.
Was it a musical?
It was not a musical. It may
Bless
have,
your beautiful hide.
come to think of it, it may have been The Crucible.
I hope to God it was the Crucible, you fucking witch.
The Crucible.
You're getting burned at
Burner.
the stake.
And definitely, my friend that was sitting next to me absolutely did notice and gave me a lot of shit for it, and I felt super bad afterwards. But again, like I was still a
You're
virgin.
3
at this
inches
time.
away. Of course
I
she
know,
knew.
I'm sorry, I feel bad, but like I did not know anything about anything. I was very new to all of this, and I did not know what the rules of engagement were for PDA.
Well, I
I'm
got to give
sorry.
mine then.
I'm sorry, Ems,
Yeah,
if you're
Garrett,
listening
when
to
did you
this.
first get fingered?
Yeah, Garrett. When did you get
the
fingered
first
in
time,
public?
I mean, somebody's definitely snuck a finger up there that I was like, oh, surprise.
Whoa, hey.
Hey.
But as far as public goes, I
Mhm.
did get a hand job in an outdoor mosh pit in the daytime.
Really?
Oh no.
In
How'd that
daytime,
go?
so sweaty.
Oh. Was that like a
Riverport Amphitheater,
festival?
yeah.
No.
Oh boy. Who was playing?
American Head Charge. Their guitarist had just killed himself on the tour bus the night before.
Oh
and
my god.
They still performed.
And you got an HJ during
Correct.
it.
He would have wanted it that way.
Yeah, he would have.
I do this in memory. Loving memory.
I'm gonna repeat it right now. I'm never having a daughter. Like I'm not. Like I don't want kids, period. But like if I do get pregnant and it's a girl, we're going the way of the Chinese. Like it's not happening. I can't do it. I can't have a daughter. I can't have. Won't sleep again.
But
for
what if you have a
like 3
son and
years.
he turns into Marky Mark? Is that really better?
Not my problem.
Easier to deal with.
Listen,
It was bound to happen. He was a white male. I mean, what
What
can
are
you
we gonna
do?
do?
What was I had no choice. And yeah,
The
and
world is lucky that I'm not reproducing.
oh, for God's
You're right
sake.
though. This movie, like, I wanted a girl and had a boy, and was like, I'll say I was like
He
pretty.
could still turn out to be gay. He could be gay Gary.
Hey, listen, Kit, we're hoping for it, okay?
I know,
But
fingers
we're not there
crossed.
yet.
He's gonna hear this someday and be like, "This was
Ozzy,
a
we love
weird
you
thing for you to
just the
talk
way you
about."
are. You are perfect, and your mommy and daddy love you exactly as you are. But if you could be gay, that would be an
great.
extra bonus.
I can handle my son cutting the head off a dog, but I can't handle what happened to Alyssa Milano.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Yes.
When the
Let's
dog
get to
showed
it.
up in the first, like, 20 minutes of this movie, I'm like, something bad's gonna happen to that dog, and I'm not happy about it. And I was right.
You were so right. The worst thing happens to that dog. Yeah, so in this movie, David escalates and escalates and escalates. We do need to mention before we get to the finale, do you remember the scene where he beats his chest so hard
Yes,
he
where he
gives
starts
himself
off by
bruises?
saying to the dad, I'm hip to your problems. And then goes on to, like, emasculate him in every possible
Oh,
way.
yeah, that's when he says,
slurs
you
him.
know, yeah, he F slurs him and says he can't please his wife or
Can't please
whatever.
his wife, and I fucked your daughter, and you're bad at
He's
your
honestly pretty
job.
fucking cool in this scene.
And then
Yeah.
he starts beating on his own chest, and I was like, the fuck's this about? Turns out it's so that he can fake the dad having hit him. And
He's so manipulative.
so manipulative.
I was just relieved when it didn't have anything to do with Nazis.
Is that a Nazi thing?
Well,
Beating
like
your
it
chest?
it felt
Oh,
like
that's
very
true. It
American
did feel
History
like
X. Like
yeah,
it
yeah,
was.
yeah. You're right. You're right.
I got nervous that I was like,
Yeah.
I'm already at my threshold of what I can handle in this
Right.
movie. I can't throw this on top of it. And
And then I
thank
have
goodness
to.
he's not racist.
Oh my
That was in
God. I mean, he
another
might
script.
also be. You don't
You
know what he
didn't
went to prison
find.
for.
That's in the Marky Mark multiverse.
Yeah.
We also have to give another shout out for Gary because when
R.I.P.
she is like confronting him at like the food court or the
Yeah.
cafeteria or whatever, and she starts screaming, which good for her. Call attention,
Mhm.
get the public's eye over here.
Get a teacher over here that is about the same age as your boyfriend.
Right. Gary, who has already had his ass kicked by this dude and has
Whooped.
nightmares about it. He has PTSD and he still stands up and is like, get away from her. Bless that boy. I'm so.
And what did he get for
What
it?
did he get for being such a good friend? Is
Fucking
he
Jason
mucked up.
Voorhees.
He
Yes.
got
Neck
fucking
snapped.
neck snapped in the woods.
so terrible, so sad.
This is like once we get
Which
to like the actual thriller portion of this. This is like the running through the woods is shot super well. You are
Mhm.
genuinely terrified for Gary because Gary's a real one. We like Gary.
Yeah.
We like Gary
We love
so
Gary.
much.
Gary likes this, has similar interests to us.
Mhm.
He seems like a good man. It's a goddamn shame.
He never
then-
acted again.
Oh, that is sad because he was good.
Mhm.
But then there's the stick and poke tattoo thing, which I do not know what
I
his
would have
fuck.
not
This
mentioned
cannot. This cannot be the way that they taught him to do this in prison, right? I have seen some genuinely artistic and talented tattoos that were done in prison, and what he does is just drag a knife over his own body and then rub a Bic pen into it so that it says Nicole forever.
Eva. And
Forever.
he had 15 minutes, Kit.
He could have taken longer. I'm just saying.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out here. How
Yeah.
many subscribers I'm gonna let Ashley set the number, and Kit, you've
Mm.
already agreed to it. I'm throwing you into this.
Oh, I
We
did.
will
Okay.
get that tattoo
And
if we hit a certain number
no,
of subscribers.
No. You can't. No.
Does it have to be on the center of your chest?
No, it can be anywhere.
You can pick the location?
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think you guys should go for it.
yeah.
Nicole forever
I'm not doing that.
with a 4.
How many subscribers we hit, and Kit has to do it.
No, why me? What? I don't feel.
I'm getting it too.
3,000.
It's a
Three-
I'm
3,000.
saying
That's a good number.
it doesn't have to be like a massive number.
Yeah, it's a mile.
3,000's a
It's a
really
nice
good
little
number.
Garrett,
milestone.
you
There's a
It's a
million
already
huge
podcasts.
milestone.
Garrett, you already tried to get me a "fuck the moon" tattoo with you,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, and
now
I
I
don't
wouldn't do it.
understand why it hasn't happened. Well, here's the thing. You get to pick the location on your body, and it doesn't have to say Nicole because that's like who's Nicole. Yours could say Garrett forever, and yours could
Ah,
say
Mm,
Kit forever.
yeah, yeah.
At
You know
least
what?
make a shirt.
It will certainly not be as painful as what he went through because I'm definitely not going to just rip my body open with a knife and then rub ink into it. I don't think that's how you tattoo.
I
well, we'll
don't.
talk about this more later, but let's
Yeah.
get to the finale of this
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
I already mentioned the dog. You know, the crew. Gary, not Gary. Who do we got? Knobby and Hacker.
Knobby,
And
Hacker,
I found out
Lawrence.
Hacker's in one of my all-time favorite movies.
Hackers?
Hacker is the man that steals Steve Martin's wallet in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Oh
Really?
That
my
breaks into
God.
their yeah. This was
Into
his
their
last acting
hotel?
role.
Do you even see his face in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles? Isn't he wearing a mask or?
Very briefly, and I thought it
Yeah.
was a woman.
Oh, okay.
All right, so yeah, so point is, after Dad's car got wrecked, he goes and wrecks up Marky Mark's house, which then means that Marky Mark and all the punks now want to go full
Fuck
the
his shit up.
purge on this family, and it does. This movie turns into the purge. Like
Truly.
it's
It goes straight
terrifying.
horror. Like the end of this movie is a horror movie.
Yeah.
And it's done incredibly well. Like I love something that's going to make me uncomfortable. And
Totally.
the dog thing, like where they're calling the dog Mark, like in Fatal Attraction, Marky Mark has befriended the dog
You
from
ass.
previous interactions, which leads to the dog's head coming through after they're
doggy
already on
door.
lockdown, comes through the doggy door, and they just toss that fucking head through. And you know who gets really upset about dog people hate seeing dead dogs. And
Yeah,
I'm not a
dog
dog
people.
person.
But
So
I am, and I was very upset about it.
It's upsetting, but it doesn't like ruin my movie going experience. I know some
Mm.
people are like, I will not watch a movie if there's animal violence. I don't love animal violence, but this was a horrifying moment. in the
Especially
movie.
like considering the person who's calling the dog in is like the 8-year-old brother.
Yeah, Toby.
Toby is
Tobias.
a goddamn hero.
Toby fucking
Yeah,
rules, okay?
seriously. This movie is not afraid to let everybody take an active role in saving the lives of this family
Hell
because
yeah.
Alyssa Milano is in on this. Even Toby gets to like climb out a window and get down to get
Run
to the
over
car
a
phone.
guy.
Which, by the way, did either of you ever have a car phone in your family?
Hell
Jacob?
yeah, we did.
Yeah, my dad did.
I remember when my mom got a car phone, and it was such a revelation because my mom is a doctor, and we knew all the like businesses that would let her use their phone if she got paged while she was out driving. And so like there were so many times when I was just left in the car because that was the thing you could do in the 90s, just leave your
Leave
kid
your
in the
kid in
car
the car real quick.
while mom goes in and borrows their phone so she could call the hospital. So getting a car phone was a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, this is one of those movies that I think really works in the 90s too because they don't have internet, they don't have cell phones, they have the landline, which is cut. It doesn't work. They
And
have
that's
the
their
security
security system.
system, which is connected to the landline. They can't do anything. So what do? So smart. She starts blinking her bedroom light on and off, hoping the security tower sees
Yep,
that
Larry.
something weird is
Larry,
happening.
the security
Cable
guard,
guy.
sees
Yeah.
the SOS flashing and then comes and tries to save the day. And Larry's good at his job. Like I
Yeah.
was shocked when he like almost
Wasn't
had
useless.
these punks and was not useless and like ducked out of the way as someone was coming up behind him to kill him. I was like, Larry for
Larry,
like
damn.
a dang. And
But
then,
he
like,
does get shot
he does
immediately,
get shot
and
immediately
dies.
Yeah.
So
It's
But
really
yeah, I
sad.
agree with you, Garrett. Like, I do think the very, very end, like the very last moments of the movie, fail a little bit.
What? You
Like,
can't mean the part where Laura drills the man's hand.
hell
'Cause
no, I
that's
don't mean that part. That
amazing.
part's amazing. The things that this family, there's like from piling the furniture up on the
Yep.
doors and using the things that they find around the house to use for weapons is brilliant. And like turning all the lights off so they can't see inside. Like they actually do smart things while they're, I always appreciate that in movies where they take the time to like show you how the characters are working their way out of this situation as
Yeah.
opposed to just pure chaos. And yeah, grabbing that screwdriver or the screw gun and
Drilling that man's
hand.
hand.
And he reacted perfectly. Like in some other movies, the guy would have just screamed and like just been like, "You bitch," and kept fighting. But he was like, "We gotta
I
go,
don't want to, guys, I
we
don't
gotta
want to
go."
be here anymore. I
He's
don't want to do this.
guys, Knobby's leaving. He said his hand meat's out.
We gotta get Knobby to the
Nami
hospital.
wants to go to the hospital right now. Also, Toby kills a man. Toby, 8 years old, has a death on his conscience because he
Runs
runs
him right the fuck
right
over.
the fuck over.
That whole
Yeah.
family has every right to be so fucking mad at
Savage.
Reese Witherspoon when this movie's over.
What? No, they have the right to be mad at one
Absolutely not.
person and one person only, and that is the
That's
dad.
David. Oh.
No, the dad. Because
We're all mad at different people.
We're all mad at different people.
Literally none of this would have happened if Dad hadn't skipped the goddamned James Taylor concert. Because
That's actually what my husband said. He said if they had all just gone to the James Taylor concert,
none of this would have happened. She
But
never
she
would have seen
wanted
him at
out
the
of it.
warehouse rave.
Oh,
Of course she
did
wanted out of
say
it.
She would go though. Yeah,
Yeah.
she did.
She wanted out, but he convinced her that it was going to be a nice family thing to bring their, Brady Bunch family
But
together.
he had to work at job.
And he had a
At
very
job
important
in
job to
Vancouver.
do. Gotta go job in Vancouver.
Well, and when our prequel comes out, it will
Mm.
start at the first James Taylor concert that she
Yes.
attended in the late 80s.
When she was 6.
Yeah. And she remembers every moment of it.
And then the problem is in our prequel, like we do see young David, and it's going to be very like Rob Zombie prequel where they're like, I didn't want to see what David did as a kid. You've got it.
We have to see where it happened. Because
Turns
I
out-
bet you, dollars to donuts, I bet you this is not the first time David has had a crush like this before.
Absolutely not. He was bounced around from foster to foster home, not because like the foster care system let him down, but because he was like terrorizing each family
This
he was put
not
with.
the first girl that he did this to. He was too experienced. He was too slick. He really didn't fuck up that bad. I mean, she was still kind of talking to him at the very end.
If she
before
had
he
not
was
caught him raping her friend in a crack house,
red-handed.
she would have stayed with him.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me,
Rough stuff.
what is the part of the movie that you do not feel holds up?
Like, okay, so when like the very last battle between like David and Zaddy, and David's saying like, I now pronounce you husband and wife, or like he's like reciting like wedding tropes or like what like
Yeah.
sermons at the wedding, yeah, as
He
he's
said
like trying to
the
kill him.
dad
Any
needed to like
object?
give the
Speak
bride
now or
away.
forever hold your peace.
Yeah, or forever hold your peace. And it's just like, what happened to you guys? Like, this was a pretty like believable story. This was a pretty believable thriller, and then it kind of turns into like he's like Freddy Krueger at the end with these like one-liners.
Even though he's been stabbed, he keeps going.
Yeah, he turns into it's a Terminator situation. Like, we can't get this guy down. And then, the typical, I think, he falls out the window. And I was trying to remember. I was like, why can't I remember? I remember every scene of this movie. Like, why can't I remember how this ends? Because it's fucking weak.
You don't. I mean, how is
All
it?
that
Dad
build up.
throws him out a window, and then he.
And then credits. Like, it is
It's true,
such
it is-
a weak, tiny little ending. Like, everything up to that point.
We were
has been
getting
so
close
well
to that
thought out.
97-minute mark.
They were
had
like,
to
we
get
gotta
out of
go. We gotta get the fuck out of
It is a
here.
very abrupt ending, in much the same way that Fatal Attraction has a very abrupt ending. It's
Yeah.
like bad guy dead, cops here, bye.
Bye. We're done.
I mean, it is pretty close to Fatal Attraction. Like
It really
the car
is.
gets fucked up. There's so many things. Like it
Parallels.
does make sense that it is basically following the same beats.
That's true.
That's true.
But no, I agree. Like, I think a more satisfying death possibly would have elevated it slightly.
Blow
But
that
I do
idiot
think, like,
up.
overall, I think the last like 30 of this movie is just so strong.
Yeah,
Like,
Mm.
maybe other than those last like 2 minutes. But
truly.
it, as far as a horror movie goes, super super watchable. I see why in the 90s everyone really really loved this movie, because
Mhm.
I think we were we were all definitely at an age where this played more as just like a fun scary movie. And now, like, Kit and I seen like Kit seeing it for the first time, me seeing it, like, this is like my third time in the last like 6 months. um that it play like it hurts more. It actually is
It
an
hurts.
effective
Mhm.
movie as far as like the drama goes. I don't know. This is, I see why it's like it's a top one and why people do enjoy it. And we didn't mention the peephole scene before they
Oh,
break in.
What is the
Um,
peephole scene?
where she's looking through
the dad's looking
the
through the
dad's looking through
peephole.
the peephole, and Mark Wahlberg is like talking to the in much
Oh,
the
I
same
Let
way
me in
they
the
do in
fucking
The
love that
house.
Purge.
scene. Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
everything I read, and I actually heard Mark Wahlberg, I was kind of doing some research on the movie and saw him talk about this on like a GQ, like my best roles thing. And he said that that was an outtake in the movie, that like he just did like a silly take, and that Brian Grazer, the producer, saw like dailies from it. And then when
And
the movie like came out and he saw the first cut, Brian Grazer said, "Oh, where's that peephole scene?"
it was really
And
good.
he said, like, "Oh, that was just a blooper. That wasn't even a real thing." He's like, "Put it back in. That was my favorite part."
I mean,
So
it
It
is
like,
is
really
one of my
good.
favorite parts. And it played in the trailer. I remember it very vividly from the trailer of this movie, that one line. They cut out the F word, obviously, but I think that's the only, we really don't see David's real dark side. We see, him beat up um not gay
Not
Gary,
gay, not gay, Gary.
but he he comes back around. He says like, I didn't know it was Gary. I just saw a guy with
On
his
my
arms all
girl,
over
I
you.
thought
Like, I
I
had
was
no idea it was
protecting
Gary.
you.
I reacted and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, actually that okay, fine, that checks out. But like, it's not the only moments we see him sort of like turn bad are obviously the rape scene when he's got Alyssa Milano's hair and he's pulling her hair. Like, that's terrifying. And then that moment at the doorbell or in the peephole where he's like reasoning with him, he's being all calm, and then all of a sudden he's like, "So let me in the fucking house." And it's
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, who is this person? This person is insane."
he really has, I don't know, like there's moments of like Anthony Perkins and Psycho in this
Yeah.
movie to me. Like, he is quite good in this movie. There's moments where like you get his accent and like it's inherently silly. Uh like, and he's never going to break that accent. That accent has followed him his whole career. And
Yeah.
it's
It's
always
part of you.
a little silly, but like he has like this Norman Bates calmness about him for so much of the movie. And then when you just see like that moment of him snapping, I don't know,
Mhm.
he's a very terrifying man. Like, it really works for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And he's a big guy too. He's not like he's physically foreboding. Like,
Yes.
he's very scary. Like,
You
I
really
don't
feel when
know.
yeah, when he's like in the confrontation with the dad, I'm like, "Dad, don't
Exactly.
pick this fight."
I don't know who's going to win that fight. If it was Zaddy and stepmom and Reese and Alyssa, I don't know who would win if it was those four against him.
Throw in Toby and you
It's
know you got the
Throw in
win.
Toby and we know who wins. But
uh, yeah, this
it's a great movie. I think that it holds up really well. There's a couple things obviously wrong with it, and I think that it's cheap. It was a cheap movie. It was like $6 million. It was a really low budget little thriller. But I think storyline wise, it's really fascinating and interesting. I don't know another movie like it. I think that the relationships are really interesting and cool and not cookie cutter.
No,
Like,
they're
you'll see them
very
in any other
complicated.
movie. Yeah. The themes are obviously relevant always.
Mhm.
I think it's a great movie. I think everyone should see Fear.
I thought this was kind of crazy. So as I was looking at the director of the movie's filmography, obviously like
Hmm.
the biggest thing he did really is like Glenn Ross.
Oh, damn. Okay.
But then if you go back, you look and see that he did like some Madonna videos and did eventually do a Marky Mark video. Because
Okay.
Marky Mark wasn't the first choice for the movie. It was Leonardo DiCaprio, who had done Basketball Diaries. Leo didn't want to do it, recommended Marky Mark. They took a meeting together, and they ended up becoming friends. And then, like, as time went on, he's like, I would like. But he directed the video to Papa Don't Preach by Madonna.
Huh.
And
wow.
like Papa, like those two things, like it's a theme wise kind of similar.
I think it's time, Garrett, to ask the important questions.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Okay. Were you aroused? Scale of 1 to 5. Garrett, you're up first.
This one is one that I have, like, it goes back to like The Crush, Poison Ivy, that whole subgenre of erotic thriller of just like icky man trying to fuck kid. And yeah, you have to rate it like, I mean, I'll go 0, but I mean, I'll give it a 1. Like, it's the eroticism isn't really the lead in this
crux.
movie. Yeah, like
Yeah.
this isn't. So I do rate it low as far as erotic goes.
All right. Ashley, scale of 1 to 5. Think about
4.
Mark Wahlberg.
And I will, 4. Here's the thing. Only because it has spanned so many generations.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I first saw this, it was several decades ago, and I was obsessed. I knew I shouldn't be. He was so dangerous, but like, oh my God, I was so obsessed. And even today, watching it and being like, I get it.
I
Well,
feel
get why
very
everyone
similarly.
likes this man.
That
He
makes sense. I
is
mean, the
so
listeners
hot.
don't know, like, we're all in our mid-30s.
Yeah.
And when you saw this movie, you're also kind of rating it as like a fucking 12-year-old that saw this
Yeah.
movie. And yeah.
Absolutely. And I have friends whose kids are in high school right now. Friends that like had kids their senior year or like immediately after high school. Like I have friends whose children I see their prom photos, and their graduation photos. So like I have that context of like, no, like I could absolutely have a child Reese Witherspoon's age who comes home with a 23-year-old
No.
hottie bo body. And that is so difficult. Like, I just know how much shit I put my parents through dating these like older boys. And even though like I obviously didn't have a situation like Reese Witherspoon, but I definitely should not have been dating these older boys. But at the time, it just felt normal. So now, as like a 35-year-old, I'm like, it's not fucking normal. You're never dating ever. Don't
This
date.
non-existent child.
This non-existent child that will never exist. You can't date. It's too dangerous out there. But I would say 4. I'm gonna say 4.
I would say a 3 because Reese Witherspoon is so beautiful in this.
Ugh.
She's so lovely. And it's so like the roller coaster scene is so good.
It's so good.
She looks like she's so like in the moment and enjoying herself, and you just can't help but have like some of that good feeling, like, not to say rub
Women
off
don't get
on
that a
you,
lot, I
but
don't
they
feel like.
don't. Yeah, where it's just like,
Especially teenage. Well, today I feel like teenagers get it a lot. You have like Riverdale, Sabrina. There's so much like super sexy
but at the
fucking in those
time,
shows. But at the time, we didn't really get real. We didn't get fingering. I'll tell you that
Definitely
much.
not
I never
that.
saw fingering in anything.
Yeah. And then Marky Mark has all of the like 90s bad boy energy, and I can put myself in the mindset of like me at 15 watching this movie, and I would have been absolutely obsessed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll give it a 3, maybe like a 3.5 on arousal score. All right, Garrett, 1 to 5. Were you thrilled?
Honestly, as far as thrills go, I'm giving it 5. I think the end is such like competently shot horror. I think even as he slowly goes mad throughout the movie is done so well, where it's almost like a nice slow burn of
It
him
is.
getting truly insane. that even when you include like the uncomfortable like rape, and then you get to the car chase and just everything, like it escalates very nicely. And Gary running through the woods, I'm going 5 on this one. I think this is a really solid thriller.
Nice. Cass?
I would say 5 too. I would say 5 as well. I think, yeah, they do all of. It's a really realistic descent into madness. It's like, and this would be such a great movie. I really do think to show younger girls and be like, I would like to teach you about red flags, how to spot them, and what to do when we spot them. Because there are so, like you said, it builds so well that there are so many little moments throughout that you're like, as a viewer, you're waving the flag and you're like, hey, 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 someone pay attention to this. This guy's scary. But when you're in it, and like when he can explain himself away, and you're you're easily manipulated because you're a 16-year-old girl who's never been fingered before, and this guy just fingered you. Like, it's 5, absolutely 5. And it has a great payoff. I do wish David's death was better, but other than that, I like the ending too.
I am a 5 as well. The build up, as you said, like it really escalates nicely. The way that everybody flips between making good and bad decisions, like she throws out the letter and she throws out the gift that he gives her, but then because dad is like, you're not allowed to date him, then she's like, well, of course I'm gonna give him a second chance. Like,
yeah.
People are making bad decisions, but you understand why they're making all the bad decisions. And when the parents are screwing up, it feels very human. And so it's not just like a parade of bad decisions. Like you said, during the end, when they're like barricading the doors and they're doing like smart choices to try to keep these people out. And because they're really well developed characters, I feel like the thrills mean so much more, because it's like, oh shit, that's what I would have done. Like, I would have built up the furniture, I would have done this and tried this, and then bad stuff happens anyway.
You care about them. You don't want them to get hurt or die. Like, I was so scared for Tobias when they sent him, when he was like, I can fit through my window, and I was like, don't send Toby out there, babe. But it turns out Toby's a G.
Toby is a mother
gang bitch
hero.
No, you said the same thing earlier. Like, everything about Alyssa Milano made you nervous because she could have easily died at any moment in that movie.
Oh yeah.
And you didn't want her to, because
I didn't. Even though she was making
she
bad
was a
choices.
good friend.
She was yeah. Okay. Would you ruin your life for Reese Witherspoon's character? Yes or no?
No, child. Let's
What about for Marky Mark?
Yes.
No. Keep going though. Keep going. Keep hitting me with them.
Would you ruin your life for Laura the stepmom?
Judging Amy? Yes. Yeah. Keep going.
Would you ruin your life for Alyssa Milano, the crack whore?
Quick story.
She's 3 years older. She's 3 years older.
Quick story, and this feels like an appropriate place to tell it.
Oh, God.
There is a documentary called I Think We're Alone Now, and it's about 2 mentally ill people that are stalking the pop singer Tiffany. And it's fucking incredible. Like, I watched it a lot in college, and it became a movie that I would show people often, and we'd laugh. And I showed it to somebody since I've lived in Nashville in the last few years, and it plays a lot different the more we know about mental health. So it's not as funny, but I do love this mentally challenged guy who's stalking Alyssa Milano, you get to see him, or stalking Tiffany, interact with her throughout the movie at like conventions and shit. At the end, he realizes, I'm not going to be with her. And he goes, but that's okay, because my backup plan is Alyssa Milano.
Okay.
And so, like, great twist that he stalks Alyssa Milano at the end. And because of that documentary, yes.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But
Zaddy. Would you ruin your life for Zaddy?
Fuck me up, Zaddy. Put those glasses on. Take me to job. Take me to Vancouver.
To Vancouver.
Show me your forensics.
ride me around in that cherry red whatever it is car.
No, I'll tell you why I know it's a Mustang, because when you're in his office, like a 6-year-old boy, he has photos of Mustangs on the wall, and above all of his work shit are these giant binders that say Mustang down the
He just keeps
bookend. So
binders of pictures
He
of the
loves
car he
car.
likes.
he loves Mustang. That's what. But I
Okay.
do want to say I gave Alyssa Milano a lot of grief for her choice in men. However, she was not of age and I am. And I love the movie Airhead starring Steve Buscemi. So would I ruin my life for Terry? Let me ride that dick while smoking crack. Yes.
Yes, give me that crack dick, Knobby.
Mm, I ain't
What
ruining
about
my
you,
life
Kit?
for
Would you
any of
ruin
those.
your life? You wouldn't ruin your life for any of these
Well, I said
people.
for any of Marky Mark's friends, is what I was going to
That's
finish that
fair.
sentence with. I would
They
not
don't bathe.
ruin my
so.
life for Alyssa Milano because I've been down that road of having a friend in that situation before. And you know what? I just can't make myself do it again. So I'm sorry,
That's
Alyssa.
fair.
I'm not going down that road with you.
It's always been such a shame to me that they've typecast Nathan Lane as the crack whore best friend. Sorry.
I would not ruin my life. You know what? I would ruin my life. Like, if I were of age, I would ruin my life for both of the main characters because,
Mm.
like, Reese Witherspoon is so pretty and so likable, and then Marky Mark has all of that dark bad boy energy that I just feel like. You know what? No, when I was the right age, I would have been way too intimidated by a guy like Marky Mark. I never would have gone to a warehouse rave party. Who am I even kidding? I would
Yeah.
not have
But you
skipped
were so
English lit.
perceptive.
You would have dated gay Gary
I-
for 10
you
years
know
before
what?
he came out.
I am going
You
to
were like,
ruin
"Damn
my
it."
life for gay Gary, and I'm okay with that because honestly, he is the kind of guy I would have ended up with.
He's your type.
He's my
He's
type.
my type.
He's
A
at the very
gay
least
film nerd.
me in high school's type, a gay film nerd.
There are so many movies like this in which I can like put myself in the place of the main character and say like I would or would not get myself into this situation, or like I would or would not survive this situation. I would have, and I don't know if I would have survived this situation. I think
Oh,
Mark
shit.
Wahlberg could have manipulated me to do anything. Like he could have Manson family'd me.
Oh,
I would
man.
have been all in, I think. I don't think I would
Wow.
have stood a chance. At 16?
Mm.
Now?
Yeah, well, that makes
Mm,
sense. I mean, look at
Well,
those abs. Like,
they're really
he was
great.
an
it's really
underwear
hard.
model, folks.
He really
Like,
ruined those abs by tattooing Nicole forever on it. Really not a
no.
great look for the abs.
The good news is that tattoo does not seem like it's going to last very
It does not. The scars might.
It didn't even seem like he cut that deep.
Yeah, these are.
Yeah, no. I think the thing that would have saved me from the same situation as you of being swept away by Marky Mark is that I never would have skipped English lit. I never would
That's
have.
true. I never would have skipped school. Ever. And I would have never stayed out past curfew.
Never would have gone to the
I
warehouse
didn't
rave.
have a like, and here's the thing too, why this movie's so great is that like the reason that I feel like she thought she could get away with this stuff is because her dad abandoned her. He has a lot of making up to do. Like
Mhm.
he can't be as hard on her. You can tell that he lets her get away with a few things because hey, all I have to do is throw it back in your face. Where the fuck were you for the first X amount of years of my life
Mhm.
when I was being raised by a single mom? So like they set up the dynamic so well to make this all kind of work. It's a perfect storm,
Right.
essentially.
Yeah, and it like the divorced family, like 90s, where, how do I navigate what, love even means when my own parents couldn't make it work and I had to be the adult and like, that
You know how you could have learned it? When you were in first period English learning about Percy Shelley's poems. You
Mm-hmm.
fucking nerd. Instead of
But
at
you
the
went to
coffee
a
shop with all the flannel
cafe
nose ring
bar.
boys. Yeah.
Mhm.
Ashley, so what? You'd ruin your life for Marky Mark, or you think like you
Totally.
would. Okay. Anybody else?
I don't think I would ruin my life for anyone else. I mean, Alyssa Milano could definitely get a really strong hold on me. Like, not necessarily, not necessarily in like a romantic situation, but she would be the friend that would, if anyone could convince me to skip first period and go to
It
like
would
a
be
cafe
her.
bar, it would be Alyssa Milano. Like, she seems like a trouble, but like safe trouble because I trust her.
Until she is no longer safe trouble. She
Until
is
she's smoking crack
trouble.
and having sex with dudes in the middle of a party. Like,
Yeah.
step too far. And I don't think, like, Garrett, your wife texted me while she was watching it with you and was like, I think the dad's hot. And I was like, the dad? Like, what? But it's because maybe I would, but I watched so much CSI Las Vegas, I cannot separate him from that character, whose name I think was like Graham.
I want to
No one's
point out,
hot.
though,
His
that
name is
Alyssa
Graham.
Milano does hit on the dad in that one scene. She is like
Oh.
trying to fuck the dad.
That's fair. Maybe
She's
he
not
is
trying-
hot. I
she's
just
just
can't
like-
Maybe he's
get past
hot.
it.
She's just
What?
making him uncomfortable.
Yeah, I think she just knows what she's got and she's using it.
And she's got it.
And she's got it. Boy, does she.
Harry knows that, or whatever the fuck it.
You could see her butt cheeks throughout this entire movie. Like, she was either in a swimsuit where you could see her butt cheeks or a skirt so short you could see her butt cheeks.
This was
It was all
like in Alyssa Milano's bad girl phase, and I know eventually we're gonna do like Embrace the Vampire or some of that shit on here, where like her just like, I'm not on Who's the Boss anymore. I've got to be naked in a few movies. This was like her Jesse Spano Showgirls run, but
This
it
was
went
her
longer.
her Rules of Attraction. When all of those. Is that a
The
sexy
cast of
thriller?
Dawson's
No, I don't
Creek.
think so. Yeah, we're like the cast of Dawson's Creek and Seventh Heaven. We're like, we're gonna do cocaine and have gangbangs on screen. We're not in Seventh Heaven anymore, kids.
And the dad from Seventh Heaven's like, I'm gonna do that too, but with kid porn, and then
But with
he's in prison.
children.
Oh, all right, everybody. Thanks. That's been the Erotic Thriller Club. Ashley, thanks so much for coming on. You will have to come on
Thank you
again
for
at
having
some
me.
point.
Yes.
Because I found out this movie is actually based off of a Bollywood movie called Dar from 1993. And this
now we
isn't
have
the
to watch
first.
that.
Yeah, this isn't the first one that we have Bollywood versions of the same movie.
Oh, interesting.
Which one was it that we were gonna do?
Gotta be
that,
Xanadu or whatever the fuck you did.
There's one called. There's a Bollywood movie called Jism,
No, there isn't.
and that movie is
J or G?
J. It's the Bollywood version of. Fuck. It was a movie.
I don't want to Google Jism. I was gonna look it up but I don't want to type.
You can't. Don't Google Jism.
I don't want to.
We'll figure it out later. But yeah, you'll have to come back for any number of movies. Your open invitation to return.
Listen, I will be back.
Yes.
Do you want to plug some stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. Follow at Keep It Weirdcast on Instagram. We're on hiatus now, so we're really not fucking posting anything. But follow us there. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Keep It Weird Podcast, and you can listen to Keep It Weird on anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. And the Losers Club. I always forget about them. I'm also on the Losers Club, which is a Stephen King podcast. The Stephen King podcast. Stephen King has been on the podcast. And we've also had guests like Tom Jane, and a bunch of different like actors who have been in Stephen King movies and different horror movie writers. So check that one out too, wherever you want to listen.
And hey, I know that rate, review, subscribe doesn't matter as much, but you know what? It makes me feel nice to see a nice review. So leave those.
It does feel good.
And then follow us at Erotic Thriller Club on Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, eroticthrillerclub@gmail.com. Thank you to Coed Pageant for our theme song. Thank you to Two Flame Pictures for the photo you see when you listen to this podcast.
And sorry that we said crack horse so much.
I am really sorry about that. But you know what? It's a 90s movie, so I'm going to use the 90s lingo. So
yeah.
Blame the 90s, not us.
Sorry.
We censored everything else. All right. As always, thank you for listening. We love you. We want to shake you naked and eat you alive.